Hello, hello, Mr. Alp and Mr. Alaz. Thank you very much for joining us today. And as you already know, actually, we will discuss today the future of learning and development, immersive learning ecosystem design with our distinguished guest, VolareVers Corporate L&D Lead and VolareVers Learning Ecosystem Lead, Alaz. So, before, of course, going to the speech, first of all, I would like to give the floor actually to our distinguished participants just to introduce themselves, and then we will start immediately. So maybe I can just pass the floor to Mr. Alas first, and then we can just continue with Mr. Alp.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Alaz Han. Here today, I am attending as a VolareVers Learning Ecosystem Lead. And currently, I am working as an learning ecosystem designer in many contexts, actually. And VolareVers is like the kind of the main companies I am working for. And at the same time, I'm supporting the another companies to create a learning ecosystem for their corporate culture, and at the same time like supporting the entrepreneurs for their learning solutions. And I guess that's all from my side. I can pass the ball to Alp.
Yes, thank you. My name is Alp, and I'm working as a corporate L&D lead here over at the VolareVers team. I'm a psychologist by formation and graduate of a work organization and personal psychology masters in University of Groningen, and then avid creative performer all my life. And then with the discovery of this motivation to help others to perform, to be creative, I actually drew my whole path along the way. I'm working as a people and culture professional specializing in talent development, and I'm helping young professionals to be more creative and to find their motivation to be their ideal selves, and to aid them, support them within their professional journey. So yeah, that's I think a summary. But let's not talk about any more about me. I think that's it.
It's definitely okay, and we are really happy to have you here today. And let's get started actually with our discussion and the panel today. We always like discuss about like the immersive technologies, the learning and development. What is this talent development? What kind of challenges we have? And there are many things actually ongoing, of course. And we will discuss actually as like a even first question is most of, let's say mostly about these challenges. But I would like to ask, I'm just wondering, I'm curious, from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges we face in learning environments and how we overcome these obstacles actually before going into the immersive world? Actually, first I would like to discuss the challenges, and I'm curious about your thoughts here. Maybe we can start with again, Mr. Alas.
All right. It's okay. From my perspective, when I first time heard that questions, I'm thinking about that like we have many challenges that we are facing in the corporate culture while we are creating the learning ecosystem. First of all, that I would like to mention that because which is my main focus on the corporate culture is like kind of accessibility to learning ecosystem, because in today's words we are like seeing lots of mobility, and we are still discussing the working fully remote from like another word from another country, but still like we cannot support our employees to mobility, and at the same time we cannot like create an ecosystem which can and fully motivation to technology change, and at the same time like to create a zone for them to like in a sustainable learning. And here that topics like we can cover a lot of subtitles at the same time, but that these are the main things that I see in the companies which are they are facing in the creating the learning ecosystem in their culture. Maybe I can say like more in a detail.
Yeah, exactly. I can pick up right from there. Thank you so much, Alas. I think the two overseen, maybe let's say, okay, partly focused parts in learning is, I think, the motivation, right? Because Allah said culture, so we can pick up from the motivational part. And then the opportunity, which I think these two concepts are really closely tied to each other. Because when you have when you have more opportunity, when you sense the opportunity to grow, then of course it would reflect on your motivation significantly. And of course, having the culture that would open up the way for this is really really important. But the thing we are seeing right now, of course, with the basis of working culture, with the remote life being the standard now, and growing from that, the perspective in learning environments, I find it a bit detached. In what way? Let's say e-learning is really, really becoming like a close companion with the remote working culture, right? Because you want to give the incentive for people to do things on their own styles, own ways, in their own pace. And this is one big thing that e-learning brought. But when you look at the learning environment in a broader perspective, or how the organizations are helping um, with the mechanism, we do not connect to career outcomes of learning cycles, for example. So the e-learning now slowly evolving, or as an alternative, knowledge-based understandings are evolving, right? But it's a bit detached. You get thrown all of this easy access knowledge. But what about the learning cycle? What about how your career is getting affected by it, how it's developing? And we do not see the learning related factors as dynamic as they're supposed to be. But I see a perspective, we see these specific factors floating around on LinkedIn, let's say, even as a part of different models, but they are isolated. But we need to see these factors as dynamic, as affecting each other, and constantly evolving and changing. And we need to see these factors as neutral. You take one away, or you introduce a new factor into this learning environment, and the whole thing changes. And depending even on the context, they change positively or negatively. So relying on specific factors, specific group of factors, specific models, and then just basically applying them should not work anymore. We need to see them as more dynamic, and we need to listen, to observe, and to see, I think. And this and lack thereof, I think, is the challenge that is bringing to learning environments, and the challenge to develop them further, actually.
Thank you very much. Actually, it was very interesting insights and the points that you already mentioned, and you both already mentioned. And I would like to continue actually because yes, there are some challenges for sure, and we will face these challenges. But from the immersive learning design point of view, let's say, how do you see what are the key components or the tools that we can make up an immersive learning ecosystem in a corporate or in a culture, in an organization, an institution, whatever you say? And I'm just curious about your thoughts, actually. Maybe we can start with maybe Alp or Alas. I will pass the floor
I,
to Alp this time. So let
yeah,
me
yeah,
decide a
sure,
bit.
sure, sure. Let's not put the constant pressure on us. Come
Yes.
on. So let's. I think we can start off by saying, yeah, the learning ecosystem parts, and then make a comparison to what immersive could bring. So the content is the first and the most worked on part of the learning ecosystem in immersive is the content, right? There are simulations that we are seeing getting to new heights. They're like absolutely amazing. They pull you in, but at the same time, they are getting very complex. They are getting extremely technical. I mean, we are seeing right now in the past year, there have been, of course, there are not new developments, but especially in medical science. these simulations have been getting amazing in immersive. So yeah, the content is central, and the practiced focus here is the content. But of course, that's one of the pitfalls also. On the other hand, because there are many more factors that when we are talking about immersive learning, we are skipping a little bit, or I'm observing a little bit of lack of focus here. Um, so the learning culture, right? We started talking about it, and the technology itself, right? We are seeing either the technology coming in first and learning being accounted for later on, or building of learning ecosystems and then the technology being accounted for later on. But what about thinking of them at the same time, building the strategy accounting both of them, or even going further, of taking into account the educational science, taking into account the psychological aspects of it, because these are the things that would give you the nuances, and taking into account the boundaries of the technology from the start also give you these nuances as well, of building a sound and inclusive ecosystem. And also, and which I'm pretty sure we'll have a lot of time and focus on this, but people, right? We need to include the people factor in it, because we talking about psychology, it's not only a means of giving you the mathematics of building the formula of basically calculating your effectiveness, which we can do, and we can discuss on that even. But the people factor is not just a mathematical part. We need to have a bit of the holistic approach as well. And immersive technologies are allowing and introducing the possibility of including these aspects to the learning ecosystem as well. Um, First, of course, being it an environment that is more tangible than a 2D platform that you enter, but there is much more. But I would like to actually pass the ball to Alas first, that we can delve on it later on.
Thank you. Actually, you got really pointed out the things that like we need to consider the psychology of learners as well. I'm so sorry, but I have forgot at the beginning to mention I am psychologist, which is like I totally forget in my life as well.
That's
But
fine.
yeah, but while I like we are talking about the learning ecosystem, that's a really good point that we need to consider, because at the same time sometimes we are forgetting and we are not on the same page what is learning ecosystem. We need to consider that's the end-to-end process from the very very beginning, like from the humanity and to end to the organization, and we are starting from the human. So that's why at the beginning of the every situation we need to consider the psychological situation of the learners, and after that we need to consider what key components we need, that thing we need to think about to implement that learning ecosystem. That's why that's a good point. Also, I've mentioned technology, which is like we are currently working on it a lot with AI, with VR, and everything, because that's the thing. It helped us to create that learning ecosystem. Of course, we are at the beginning, we are considering each key component, but after that time, we need to consider how we can do it much better. In that case, I can also add to Alp, gamification is also so important and data-driven results, because which we need to consider in a mathematical way with Alp, not just like social or psychological aspect of the learners, but at the same time, in a learning ecosystem, we need to decide in data-driven way. So that's why we are AI is so important for us to consider in a learning ecosystem, I can say.
It's a very good point actually, because I mean we have definitely physical ecosystems here, and we can define it in various ways. And we have also immersive ecosystems. There are many, actually not many, let's say, but there are some really, there are some immersive systems, let's say. They're trying to create some ecosystem for people, even not only for corporates, not only for institutions, not only for students, but for people. And I believe this learning ecosystem, I think all immersive spaces, all immersive areas, I think includes a bit of this ecosystem inside. Maybe, of course, maybe not. Let's say not maybe with some conscious or maybe unconsciously, they are just adding it into their systems. And I like it actually, because basically you cannot avoid from this perspective. And as of course in VolareVers, we are also like trying to, we will release soon a product actually like the virtual campus soon, and we are also doing it, but of course on purpose, and we know what we are doing. And but it's very interesting point actually from the, especially from our side, because we have a chance to analyze different stakeholders, different immersibles from a this, as you said, from the, as you, even you and I can just imagine the, you know, the bigger picture actually from the psychologist point of view. And I definitely admire this. So
Just
yes,
I
please.
can add here, Arda, that you mentioned the virtual campus, but still, like we are still discussing the LMS programs. Like in LMS programs, like we are still seeing them in more traditional way, like in the flow of the learning content and activities and everything. But if you are talking about the immersive learning ecosystem, we need to take a consideration in each detail, which is also VR is the part of this immersive learning ecosystem. And also to adapt to this technological change to learning ecosystem as well is so important, I see.
True, true. Art,
Yeah.
would you like to add
On
something?
the other side, I was going to say something about AI. Of course, this is like a very fundamental thing, but this whole dialogue is reminding me of a short dialogue I had with my thesis professor. Right? He like we were working on um, kind of coming up with a way to model of how to measure creativity, and we were trying to get a reference model which to put something on top of what already existed uh, within the literature. And I became a bit ambitious, as I was ambitious in our works. And I you know, this is why Alaz is actually laughing. And he said, look, the um, human mind at the same time, right, cannot keep track of more than three things and the relationship between them. So try to be a bit less ambitious. Here, of course, we are seeing a lot of, like, when we go back to talent, right? Let me get back to the subject. When we are talking about talent management, and talent development, I mean, organizational behavior is a really significant, like, has a really significant pace in growing. And we are seeing talent analytics and solutions and perspectives that is collecting big data, offering solutions in analyzing and giving at least insight about the talent on a really big scale. Um, but of course, you need on the same in learning as well, and you need the same in bigger ecosystems as well, dynamically, while the talent development process is occurring. So the things are changing. The talent is developing in a bigger scale and within an ecosystem. So how are you going to do this? Is, of course, with the expertise and with the fine tuning of maybe psychological science, maybe educational science. You choose the data, but to get it to a certain level of insight that you can comment on, and then you can decide on, maybe, because this is like depending on which point you want the completion or the to occur. You need AI, of course. And AI, with its current pace, is going to get us there to give us the ability to get this dynamic approach to get the insight on these behavior actually. And it's going to be a big part of the ecosystem because the ecosystem is alive. And if you can keep it alive, and if you can keep the people or each person, each professional's existence there as dynamic, as live as possible, then we can enter into a whole new world, I think.
It's fascinating comment, I must say, because AI and XR, I think they cannot be imagined without having each other actually in one basket. And I believe they are just kind of interwoven, and it's the nature of the new emerging technologies. Even I can say that I believe. And there is also one challenge coming to my mind actually in that sentence, because we are trying to of course create immersive worlds, and we're just trying to create some different learning experience for many people, but especially for corporates. I'm just trying to understand how we can just impact, or how immersive learning experience or immersive worlds can impact on the corporate culture, and how do you see it? Because basically if we change from the physical to the virtual, actually we are changing the culture, because we are changing the means of the communication, and the change in the means of the communication actually leads us to another point, to another level of the culture. And how do you see it, how the immersive learning ecosystem can impact on the corporate culture? Maybe we can start with Alas
Yeah.
this time.
just I just I was preparing to answer this question because corporate culture is so important things that we need to consider at the beginning of everything. As you mentioned, I no, Arda, sorry, you mentioned that we are producing that content for many people, which means each of them is so unique, and all of them has unique perspective as a learner as well. And at the same time, we need to think that if we are transforming that learning ecosystem in an immersive way, we need to consider that to personalize this learning ecosystem. That's the starting point for me, like how to see the how this immersive learning ecosystem will affect the corporate culture. Because in adaptive learning technologies, uh, that term will allow us to personalize these training programs that all employees will affect. So this can lead to more inclusive corporate culture, and also employees can understand and that they can feel heard and understand it from the corporate side as well. And at the same time, I can mention here not just like the personal side, at the same time incorporating with the innovation and employee engagement, and maybe motivation and teamwork can be affected as well. Because here still we are talking in about the work and life balance and engagement, employee engagement or employee experience during the corporate culture, but still we cannot handle these topics. But at the same time we are trying to transform all these terms into immersive world. So that's why I can say that like learning ecosystem, creating the immersive learning ecosystem for the corporate culture will affect the organization in many ways, including the employee engagement, employee experience, motivational, and at the same time how we are working in the team. Maybe that's I can add for now.
So before going with the art, I would like to add one more thing. It's like actually as we created, even we just define this working space and the culture,
Uh-huh.
where culture is happening, even let's say
Yeah,
being
exactly.
created. We are just changing to virtual space, and even tell always our team. I mean, you will have not like physical office that you will come to the work every day 9 a.m. and work till 6 p.m. every day. No, we just saying let's meet in the virtual campus in our office. I think this is the beauty of it, and you are just changing At the environment, you are just changing the experience, and you are changing even, as you said, employee experience. And
Yeah,
I don't want to say even employee, because they are basically partner of this this project and this company. I would like to consider every person like this, and this is the experience of each person, and I love it,
yeah,
definitely.
exactly. And think about also that like we are working from the virtual campus, and at the same time including the like game elements in that office, and we are still like in the process of the like being fun at work.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Right?
I can just
That's the main term that we need to focus on.
definitely, I totally agree.
I
Now,
mean,
yes, please.
yeah, the perspective of I think this is something that is really misunderstood when we are talking about XR or like virtual working spaces. And when we try to envision the future of it, it just seems to us like, and I'm saying as people right now as professionals, it just seems to us like the 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 basically the office, but now in the virtual world. But it's not actually. I mean, there are so many boundaries to break in our perception of it, of course. But there's so much more that is possible here. Not only as putting basically a really nice design that would appeal to our aesthetic sense, that would make it more colorful. That's basically just not only it. It's there's so much more functionality that you can bring in. And when we and let me also go back into the specifically the learning aspect to it. I mean, we have things to learn from each other, right? So we need to bring the social aspect back. I mean, this is, I think, because existing in a let's say a virtual but semi-physical, you can say, even because you are existing there in 3D space with a different set of boundaries, and most of them about the conventional office broken. Then you can get to the real growth mindset, maybe, and with the possibility of social components. That is, I think, what's making this the most, as a starting point, that's what making it the most, the biggest differentiator here, both for the individual and the organization, because this is both an individual and organizational common point, and a world that you are building from scratch with a whole set of different rules. And let's even say like it's bringing back the social aspect to learning, or let's say even the professional development journey itself, in which the whole journey, I think it's one of the challenges, if I need to refer back to the very beginning, seeing the whole professional development journey and being able to observe that individually or an organizational perspective. So like internally or from the outside, now it's getting a bit more possible, and it's being looked over actually. um, yeah, exactly. And now then the journey and the steps can be supported by the organization. So this is also, I think, an opportunity.
I totally agree. And it's quite interesting because really brilliant topic, because we are talking about not only one stakeholder, we are talking about psychology, the people, the environment, the corporate itself, whatever we say. But I believe it's fascinating part of it. And let's go through actually a bit more, because when I'm thinking and when you just keep talking, I'm just like, okay, there is one aspect of it, but also there is another aspect of it, and we are just trying to, uh, of course, create a culture, but at the same time, we should engage the people. The people should be engaged in these immersive worlds, especially in virtual campuses, collaboration platforms, some gaming, etc. But still, they need engagement. And when it comes to engagement part, in what ways do immersive learning ecosystems help in the increase actually in engagement among employees? I mean, how we can just get them engaged even in virtual campus, because most of the fears, okay, we are entering in virtual campus, we will be working there, but it will be not like a physical, but we said exactly the same thing just before COVID, for some remote working. What happened, right? What happened right now? We are actually, many people are working remotely, very effectively, productively, and maybe more creative even. So I would like to hear also your opinion, because I see it as a, like a breaking point in the, even maybe in the history, let's say. But I mean, it's in the history of future of work, let's say. And I would like to hear your opinion actually. How do you see it? How do you perceive it?
I mean, I think on my side, I'm a little bit obsessed about the social aspects. So, like, three really specific points that I can say about engagement. The first along the learning journey is co-coaching, right? To be able to live through more of your learning journey within an environment, and to be able to share it, and I think you can call it co-learning, co-coaching, co-mentoring, and you can go on a broader perspective than like the confines of training or even learning. This is possible. This is very valuable. And then second, of course, going back to learning, peer instruction, um, or more like deeper uh, peer learning that might be possible because of the let's say spatial and temporal boundaries being broken and this environment being possible. It gives you the maybe the mental space or maybe even the time of day to be able to invest a bit on peer instruction and not just absorb all of this information and knowledge from a knowledge base in e-learning or like an expert or a experienced trainer, which are all of course quite very very valuable. And then the third is of course collaborative projects um, that are focused on growth or workshops that are now based on different levels of collaboration. So yeah, these are the three things I would say: co-coaching, peer instruction, and collaborative project or collaborative workshops that are focused on growth or this particular learning process, even let's say training, even to make it more substantial.
And I'm curious about the Allah's comments as I call Allah's thoughts as well. And Allah's, what do you think?
Actually, I've had moments in the like, which remind me the realistic simulations, because if we are talking about the immersive technologies like VR, which help us to create realistic work scenarios in the work environment as well, and also allowing employees to engage in hands-on learning, because that's a really important point for us while we are creating the learning ecosystem for the employees. It needs to help us to practical their skills. It could be soft skills or technical skills, doesn't matter, in the real world situation. But we are expecting from the employees that to help them to develop this kind of skills in a hands-on learning. Of course, we are developing and delivering lots of training for them, but uh, it cannot be just like feeling it, because we are currently delivering in a more practical or theoretical way. But if we are talking about the VR and the immersive technologies, we need to take a consideration that's the realistic simulation scenarios and gamified learning experience as well, because while we are incorporating elements of the gamification and also the hands-on learning training, we are helping the employees to engage together, learn together, and at the same time having fun together, which I mentioned two times because it's so important for me in the training. Thus, adaptive learning technologies should enable the personalized learning experiences for the employees. That's the really important point from my side, actually. uh, to adding the art like 3 points, if I need to summarize, that realistic simulations will help us to boost the employee engagement, and interactive maybe can add gamified learning experience, and the last one, personalized learning journeys that can help to boost employee engagement with the immersive technologies.
I would like to add one thing actually.
Sure.
Sorry, Arda. I actually want. I think I'm going. It's going to end with a question, even. But when we're talking about, because gamification and beyond making it fun, we need to make it fun, right? And we need to make it like in a way that is retaining attention also, and
Mhm.
it's also constantly. It should be motivating in different ways also, like if someone is not particularly motivated by the fun aspect of it. But gamification is getting a bit deeper in this immersive sense too now, right? It's something that can be introduced on a whole new level in immersive, because yeah, we are now they I mean, I've been recently introduced to the term deep gamification. Maybe it's just my um, new like discovery. But when we're talking about different levels of gamification, because when we say learning and gamification, I believe that the mind, like people's perspective, is going towards the gamification elements within a training, within a workshop, but with an immersive and like environment in a whole ecosystem that includes many different aspects, even the managerial aspects to learning and development. This whole ecosystem brings out more possibilities to get a bit more gamification, a deeper gamification, because of the basic fact of people existing, albeit through an avatar, which I think we can like it goes really deeper on. Um, but then the gamification gets deeper on, right? Because of the level of existence within this ecosystem. I mean, being the more experienced person on this, but I'm really curious about your opinion on deep gamification, or what are the boundaries? How deep can we go, or how far out can we go with immersive? Actually, I'm really curious about it. Alas?
Alaz, would you like to make some comments here?
Actually, I cannot see the further. Like as just I've mentioned that like there are
And
lots of key components based on the gamification that we can transform to immersive technologies. But here we can also mention that like I don't want to talk with the psychological side of it because I'm not the person to talk about it. But at the same time, we know we have lots of personas, and that personas will came up with the gamification as well, and it will help us to create that kind of personas and our self side in the work environment. That's the only comment that I would like to add from my psychological ID.
thank you very much. Like really fascinating, I think, discussion because really, I mean, when it comes to gamification, the methodologies, etc., this is very challenging part of, I mean, the whole business even maybe, or the whole process, because you're trying to put your own methodology into the learning processes, and these
Mhm.
learning processes are crucial for only one individual, and you are trying to shape these processes in a best way that you can do. I think this is like kind of difficulty, of course, but also like the beauty, because when it comes to gamification, you are just creating your own model. When it comes to like learning methodologies and any kind of matrices, you are just creating by your own. And those methodologies and learning practices actually kind of like becoming a whole piece, an entire piece. And actually, we are just filling out like some details or some main points like in the dream. I mean, in the chain, and then we are actually trying to implement in the human, let's say, the brain, not even human like the body, human brain. And I believe this is very much nice to talk, because I'm also curious, because we are talking about, of course, like the education, learning, and the immersive technologies. And even in VolareVers, actually, we are creating our own methodologies just to impact to be more effective, actually, when it comes to learning processes. So I would like to also hear your opinion. How do you see it? I mean, this learning, immersive learning ecosystems is virtual worlds like we do, and there are many, of course, some other like similar ones. How do they can impact on in maybe next year, maybe tomorrow, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, how they can impact on the people and the future of the education and especially corporate trainings. Because yes, we know, especially during these days, we just see, oh, there are many digital twins for universities, colleges, etc. But the idea is here just to change the reality, the environment. But I don't want to just design the same university or the college here and put it here. And, okay, this is your virtual. No, we should offer it, provide like a different environment. And how do you see actually? One, we have, of course, the primary schools, universities, like the, let's say, the high schools, etc. But on the other hand, we have corporates who are which are constantly getting trainings. And how do you see the future of it? I'm curious about, especially for both sides, for both categories. And maybe we can start with this time with Alas. I will pass the floor this time. Let me
Yeah.
be kind.
Actually, I'm totally agree what you said, Art, that we cannot take that ecosystem and directly add it to immersive technologies. We cannot do that. Because each time we need to talk about the need assessment, and that immersive technologies will came to the stage with the need assessment. The evolution of the immersive learning ecosystem, like we are seeing, is going very very fast. Like just like to consider that in 1 year, how AI become a popular in everything. Like we are doing everything with AI, like just for the, not just for the chat gbt, but everything we are using, taking support from the AI side. And each programs, each applications, or any kind of technology things we are using, they are taking support and they are trying to find a way to cooperate with AI. That's the also we need to think about how learning ecosystem will be effective in the next 5 or 10 years. We can see that like integration of AI and machine learning will play a crucial role for that, because at the same time AI will help us to understand the employees need or corporate needs, or directly I can say the people needs, to decide in a data driven way again, because will help us to understand in many complex contents. And at the same time I can add here to, maybe in the future, for now not, I cannot say, but when we think about the impact on the education or maybe training, we can see the greater accessibility and inclusivity in the immersive technologies as well. Because in a technological way, for now we cannot say that like okay, that's too much inclusive, or maybe it's um helping or supporting us in an accessible way. But in the future we can say that including that kind of technologies in the learning ecosystem will help us to democratize, or in a high quality way, or in many perspective, will be more inclusive and more accessible. And at the same time we can consider to create more soft skills or maybe hands-on learning in the future. With the immersive technologies, people will be more considered that that their soft skills in a like in the real scenario, or maybe in the virtual side of it.
Yeah, because it's very interesting. Before going out, I would like to make some maybe comments here, because it's very interesting. Many people just think that, of course, we are trying to, of course, increase the awareness as well. But many people think that, okay, The hard skills, let's so called hard skills training courses can, of course, be happen in virtual reality. It's for sure. And without taking any risk, you can go to mining camp and you can design the mine camp and you can just give occupational and safety trainings. That's for sure. It's doable. But when
Mhm.
it comes to soft skills, let's say I would like to say maybe toughest or critical skills. And in that case, in even we just like should imagine, many people actually can imagine, oh, it's not happening because there are soft skills, how we can just create some scenarios in virtual reality, but actually it can happen. And there are
Yeah.
many actually like the cases for it. And we can boost not only hands-on side or the hard
Uh-huh.
skills, etc., but we can also boost the skills in, let's say, we can boost soft skills as well. No, this is very much interesting because I believe maybe we can organize another session exactly like
Yeah.
focusing on this, how to immerse soft skills in virtual reality or using virtual images or I don't know, augmented reality, whatever. But maybe we can even define this different scenarios, different technologies as well. By using different XR technologies, I think it will be great because I believe we should also bring this to the table.
Yeah,
So
because you know what, Arda, at the same time, like if we are talking about that, we are transforming that learning ecosystem in a virtual environment. At the same time, virtual environment, that immersive technology will help us to share that knowledge and experiences across the geographical boundaries. And we are like sharing with the another colleagues from another country in the same environment, in the same office, in the same learning zone, and we are experienced together at the same time with the feelings, with the emotions as well. That's the two components is so important that we need to take a consideration in the learning ecosystem, because we are not AI, and we have a lot we have also the emotional side of the learning system. Also, we need to consider in the virtual side of the learning, that two people from different countries, and they are in the same time uh, taking that experience in the same time in the same context, and but they have different feelings, and they are sharing that one
definitely.
in a virtual way.
Definitely. And we will, of course, host them as a guest in our virtual office. That's
Yeah.
VolareVers HQ. We're in virtual space. Welcome. So, yes, Alp, I would like to continue with your comments. I'm curious about what you have to say.
Well, basically, the first part I was going to say, the in the very short term, we're going to see more complex scenarios in training, which are the you already really streamlined it amazingly. And the second, of course, and I was going to pass the ball to even to Alaz, and he actually beat me to it. With the functionalities increasing, hardware, variable technologies, I mean, this is a philosophical question, and I know in the previous question I was going a bit on the philosophical boundaries of things as well. And this is a big question that I have witnessed many amazing different perspectives. So it is being spoken. So, like, because you are basically in immersive, have some sort of avatar reflection. It can be 2D, it can be 3D, but it has certain questions and implications for how much of that existence you're being internalizing. And also with the increasing functionality, with, as I said, like hardware, variables, and with amazing speed of development going through, the big question here is reflection, because as Allah said, and I know for a fact that he's very experienced in that sense as well. Like the emotional aspect is really important for not only the emotional reflection. Let me clarify. Um, and having a, like, of course, does it depend on what shape your avatar is it like, if, or the resolution of it, how realistic it is or not, I do not know. But with this functionality increasing, I'm really curious to the point where we get to a point where emotional reflection is possible with his old cues, because it's a matter of and I'm putting on the psychologist hat again. the bodily cues change a lot in conveying the emotion and also receiving the cues, for example. And also in the learning process, as Allah said, it's really important, this emotional reflection, or to be able to reflect with not only just words but in a deeper manner. So I'm really curious what it means for the learning process. I'm curious about what it means for the culture even that can be built on an immersive working environment.
Guys, then I would like to ask one more thing. With one sentence, what would you say if I say the education, the both universities and the high schools, primary schools, etc., and also like the corporate side, they will transform their like the trainings and the way of teaching into virtual space or virtual immersive worlds, or they will continue in, let's say, in physical space learning methods. What would you say in one sentence? I would like to hear from you each. Actually, how would you comment on this? Yes,
uh,
Alas, please.
Technology will not allow for that.
Oh, definitely. Technology will push them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
That
not.
they will not feeling that I should do that, I must do that.
Yes, yes. It's like
They feel
emotional
that.
enough. Yes. Alp.
Really plain and simple, please be more creative.
But- so that means please implement the technology.
Even beyond,
Thank
please
you.
be more creative.
And how would you define, as a one, again, I would like to hear one sentence from each one of you. How would you define, or how would you think, if I say, because the accessibility to those technology and the hardware, etc., is a challenge, to be honest. In next 5, 10 years, how would you see it? I mean, I think, let's say like an iPhone or like an, I don't know, like a headphones. What do you think? It will be like a part of our lives? I personally, I believe yes. But I'm also curious about your part because it's also part of the individual learning. Because we are not, of course, talking about only like the adult learning, professional learning, etc. But also we are learning how to use those things, how to use those devices. So I would like to hear your opinion with one sentence, maybe two, please.
Unless you want to start.
I was trying to think about it, I was imagining myself that I'm wearing the VR and like trying to deliver the training on the road
Yeah, while driving. Oh no, it's dangerous.
while driving. Actually, like, it's so hard to predict, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. We should ask. I think, yeah. I mean, how it's going to turn out? Are we going to adapt it? Are we like, or is it just going to be a gimmick? And are we going to draw? Are we going to drop this technology once again as people? It's a big part of the answer, I think.
Thank you very much. I agree what you have said so far. And to be honest, we are coming to the end. But as a last question, as a last part, what would you say actually to our audience here today, who are watching us today here? What would you like to tell them? Especially like you can just tell them, we didn't do any marketing, of course, but you can just tell them about VolareVers, or you can tell them about, I don't know, because I believe they're watching and they would like to know more about the disinformation and know more about this, how to say, this knowledge sharing. And how would you what would you say actually to them who are watching us, just to emphasize the immersive learning ecosystems and the implementation of new technologies?
Like, just one sentence that I would like to say. Not just watch the technology, be part of it.
Agree, otherwise we will not be surviving.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, technology will use you.
Definitely, it might happen. How would you consider, how would you say, what would you say actually to our participants here today, audience, I mean, who are watching us today here, what would you tell them, especially because I believe there are many learning and development professionals, HR professionals, CEOs, founders. What would you tell them? Because I believe they also would like to implement this technology. And but if they don't know how to do it, of course we are here. But what would you tell them as a, like, in terms of the sharing the knowledge of uh, implementation of this whole process?
I'd say I think we need to take into account the needs, and I think there is a need for taking a step back and looking at things on a broader perspective. And one last thing to the audience, I think we should meet in a in our campus first of all, and in anywhere. I think we should meet for learning. There needs to be a hub in any kind of capacity, and I think we need to share.
Totally agree. And I will be, of course, we will be leaving here also our contact info, and of course, virtual campus. When we release it, please feel free to join and meet us there. But also, guys, everyone, please do not forget. We are here to tell you. We are not here to sell, make a sell or sell you something. No, we are just here to help you and try to show how to implement and what do you need for this whole learning chain, actually learning and development processes. And of course, this is not like something. I mean, we are doing business, yes, but also we are enthusiastic what we are doing. We are passionate about it, and this is our passion. So let's do it. Let's meet. I would like to give a brief info. VolareVers will be attending in Istanbul at Tech Summit on Saturday. A whole day, actually, our team will be there. There's three guys, of course, like, and also like one of our team member colleagues will be there as well. And we will be actually partner in Oman will be there, and we will be welcoming you there. And the next days, on Monday, we will be in Riyadh and attending the Leap Summit. And if you are attending the Leap, just ping us and we will be there and we will be ready to meet you at anytime, anywhere. And for those who came late, actually, or missed some part of the conversation, you will have a chance to watch it later, and you can meet us in permanently, of course, in Warsaw, in Istanbul, and in Riyadh with our local teams as well. Don't forget to Don't forget to, of course, contact us. But we are even ready to grab a coffee and let's discuss about the XR, not like business. So, thank you very much. This was the first session of the XR talks. We will continue with some other topics, with development parts, with learning parts, and with some other insights from the market, from the countries. We will share our knowledge constantly, regularly with you. And thank you very much for today. I would like to thank Alaz very much, and I would like to thank Arp very much because they were amazing, fascinating comments, discussion, and I really appreciate it. And I believe we will have you here again soon. Thank you very much.
Hopefully. Thank you so much. And it was really exciting to be a part of this kickoff series. Like, this is the first step, and it's going to be an amazing journey with the rest of the talks, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree. And we have lots of topics to talk about under that big title, actually.
And I have to thank our audience as well because they are still here, 50 over 50 people still here and listening to us with the with passion. So I would like to thank them and each every one of them, and see you in next talks. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.